Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode of SpongeBob Now. Today, I will be talking about the inmates of summer, and to save a squirrel. First, I'm going to talk about the inmates of summer. Enjoy. While waiting at the Bikini Bottom dock and shipyard, SpongeBob prepares for summer camp at Sun and Fun Island in the beginning of the episode. Then all of a sudden, Patrick comes running to SpongeBob mentioning to him that he never told Patrick that he was leaving. They both start crying and hugging each other, completely missing the other campers board the boat to Sun and Fun Island, which takes off without SpongeBob, and the Inferno Island boat appears. SpongeBob asks Patrick to come to camp with him, not knowing they are going to prison camp. SpongeBob doesn't know very much about the camp, and thinks Sun and Fun Island is boring. The warden welcomes the prisoners to Inferno Island, but is assaulted through the sound of cheering from SpongeBob and Patrick. The warden gets so annoyed that he says that he feels like chewing somebody's head off, not literally. Patrick feels kind of hungry when the warden mentions it, and he gives SpongeBob and Patrick tires to eat. The warden and the others are impressed with both of them eating the tires. The warden has SpongeBob and Patrick digest the tires in a low, narrow hole with chum buried on top of them. 3 days later, the warden lets SpongeBob and Patrick out of the hole, but they do not feel like they've been punished since they thought it was an enjoyable soak. The warden feels so ashamed that he makes the activities very boring and difficult. Apparently, SpongeBob and Patrick think that the coal-breaking activity is fun and challenging even though they are wearing heavy ankle weights. SpongeBob comes to the conclusion that he and Patrick are having more fun than the other prisoners. Patrick suggests that they do a fun activity altogether, then they would be having the same amount of fun as each other. This hatches an idea in SpongeBob's brain, so he works on a play all night. The warden finds the script and in the morning he yells at the prisoners to find out which one of them wrote the paper. SpongeBob speaks up and says it is a play for amusement and inspiration. SpongeBob builds a boat for the play to take place in. One of the prisoners notices that they could use the boat to escape. After the play, the prisoners attempt to escape from the island, until they realize that the boat is just a prop and is not real, leading them to sink. The prisoners swim back to the island, and the warden is now furious. Suddenly, the counselor of SpongeBob's camp comes to Inferno Island, to retrieve SpongeBob, who was absent from his camp. The prisoners, seeing their chance, all say that they are SpongeBob so they can be taken to Sun and Fun Island, but the warden silences them furiously for their lies. The warden asks the counselor what kind of activities they do at his Sun and Fun Island. The counselor says that they make macaroni art, sing campfire songs, and help and support each other. All these activities frighten the warden, but it also gives him an idea. At the end of the episode, the inmates, prisoners, SpongeBob, and Patrick make macaroni art. Patrick confesses that he likes the other island better than Inferno Island, and so does SpongeBob, with the two still oblivious to the truth, and both of them start crying again. Next, I'm going to talk about To Save a Squirrel. Enjoy. SpongeBob and Patrick start the episode running and screaming. They run into Sandy, explaining that a beast is chasing them. The beast is really a cricket from the surface. SpongeBob and Patrick notice that Sandy is packing food, water, dynamite, and tents in her Jeep. SpongeBob and Patrick ask why she is packing. Sandy explains that she is packing for a camp in the wilderness. SpongeBob and Patrick ask if they can come, and Sandy says no because the camp is dangerous for them. When Sandy gets in her Jeep, SpongeBob and Patrick sneak in her trunk to try to go to her camp. However, the two Patrick fall out of the Jeep when they are on their way there. The good news is that they fall out with food, water, and a tent. SpongeBob and Patrick are in the wilderness, and SpongeBob tells Patrick that he will set up the tent while Patrick starts a campfire. When the tent is set up, Patrick is finished with the campfire, but SpongeBob then notices that Patrick did not make a campfire, but rather burned their food instead. SpongeBob tries to put out the fire with the tent, but that just sets the tent on fire. He pours water on it, which makes it go out, and SpongeBob drinks the remaining water. By now, SpongeBob and Patrick burned their food, ruined their tent, and lost their water. When SpongeBob tries to come up with a plan, Patrick stops him, stating it was his turn to think of an idea. After a long period of time, Patrick asks SpongeBob if he wanted to play hide and seek, before they then notice a nearby cave. They go in the cave and decide to spend the night there. However, an old man appears and tells them the cave was their new home. He then explains that he's lived in the cave for 40 years and there is no way out of the valley. SpongeBob and Patrick try to make shelter for themselves, but then SpongeBob is then convinced that Patrick wants to eat him when Patrick wanted to eat a sponge cake instead. SpongeBob tries to make a protective fort at first, but then the old man tells him that it's eat or be eaten, making SpongeBob realize that he must eat Patrick before Patrick eats him. The two then make attempts to eat each other. The old man is impressed, and he then reveals that he is really Sandy, who tells SpongeBob and Patrick that falling out of her truck was no accident, she was merely testing their survival skills. She then gives the two survival badges, but they get an interest of eating her and approach her while saying, "Eat or be eaten." Sandy runs away, stating that she'll bring more granola next time, as the episode ends. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos. Goodbye everyone.